and they'd say, this is just one principle of the municipal power concept, to provide the best possible service at the least possible cost to its customers. Then, in 1978-1980 annual report, the light plant reported during 1979 the department increased its value by $80,466, due mainly to the installation necessary to service the wastewater treatment plant, and also to minimize energy losses. The department increased the pilot to the town by $10,000 this year, paying the town $60,000. Now that was in 1980. This is not the first time Templeton's been in a big bind, okay? In 2003, the annual town meeting transferred from the light $100,000. In 2004, they transferred from the light $301,869. At the special town meeting, because we're in a mess, the town accepted $150,000 donated funds from Mass Reserve Trust. The reason the town is in a bind is before it was taken over and the town ran it, almost all the money that we needed to run the town, aside from taxes from the taxpayers, came from the light company. I can show you year after year. So, my way of thinking, we have no industry anymore. We cannot run this town on the backs of the people, because they aren't going to be able to live here. History shows we need income. Hold on a second. Where's my soda? I'm dry, anyway. We do not, pilot is supposed to be payment in lieu of taxes. When I get my tax bill, I don't say, I'm going to bring a chicken and a pig. This ain't barter. The pilot is their tax payment. So you really need to get money because you don't know where you're going to need it.
One thing I will say that the difference though between when I get a tax bill and when they don't get a tax bill because they are non-profits.
But they should be able to plan for it.
Well, they're not legally obligated to pay one is the bottom line.
Well,
so that's why I think that we're moving in that direction. I think that it is important to foster trust and a sense of community between and not just here, but between various different departments as well, because we can't tell them what to do and they can't tell us what to do. So by working together,
but you have to. You're the leader. How much do you think that the people in this town are going to be able to shoulder by themselves?
Right, but
this is our business.
Right, I understand.
They run it, but it's still ours.
Right, I understand that. One of the reasons that that these enterprise funds were set up was to stop towns funding themselves on the backs of ratepayers. So when you say, that the electric company funded a large portion of that's one of the reasons the enterprise fund existed. Now I understand that almost everyone has electricity, so it's a little different than talking about water or sewer where maybe half the people don't have it. So, then people, half the people are paying increased taxes. But that is one of the purposes, is to keep them separate. So again, we're not in a position to force one another to do anything. So
no, but it's a new way to look at it.
Right, but through friendly negotiations and dialogue may be the best way to kind of move things forward. Yes.
One has to remember who the light company is.
Yeah.
They're us, as Bev says, and that's fine. But any money they give to us is ours to begin with. Because we as ratepayers paid it to them. So all we're doing is paying ourselves. I think the whole thing is just ludicrous that we're fighting over this pilot payment to ourselves.
That's right.
After I paid them, now you want me to give part of that payment to you. I don't understand that. It's a foolish concept. I know from years of experience, when there was a leftover amount, they would donate it to the town in what we call a pilot payment or a donation or whatever we want to call it. But in reality, we're just paying ourselves from our own pocket. So it's really ludicrous, the whole argument here.
You know, they have money in
They
Emwick.
don't have the money.
But one of the things that I will say, again, that
Okay.
80% of towns do have pilot,
But they're not,
Agreements.
the light companies that deal with those towns
Oh, yeah.
are not owned by the town.
yes,
You cannot budget for a pilot payment, period.
right.
It's gotta come from surplus funds. You can't budget for surplus funds because you don't know what kind of a year you're gonna have.
Right.
They have to come from above the line expenses,
Right.
otherwise known as surplus funds. The money at Emwick is not to turn over and give the town money. It took years to build up those accounts. The reason we have that money at Emwick in many of those accounts, our power supply cost is so far up right now than it was from this time last year, at this point in the year, all right? You'll notice your electric bill really hasn't moved in 5 months. Your fuel adjustment has been 0 for every month. That's the PPCA, the fuel adjustment, whatever you want to call it, that the extra money that we need to meet our power costs, it's been 0 for 5 months because we have money set up in some of those trust accounts that we can use. And some of it under statute, you can only use to dump back in the rates. I believe there's one of those accounts that basically has no rules. And again, but we would have to make an argument that if we had $1 million in it, that we should do this instead of doing X instead of doing Y. We're allowed to collect up to an 8% return on plant. That's almost $1 million. The problem is, I can't just raise the rates to collect 8% on plant just so I can put 100 in the bank and give the town 900,000. I can't do that because everyone's paying for it.
I'll just take one more and then we'll,
I
yes.
just want to make a point too, the light department's been in business for 108 years. And it's been, the way it's been run properly, because that's why there is money available. Over the last 5 years, we spent over $3 million upgrading the substation. But we didn't go bond payment and raise your rate to do it, but the money's there. It's the way it's been run, like John says, we have rate stabilization funds that we try to keep the rate, like you said, our power costs this year, this winter, the last 3 months, are $400,000 more than they were a year ago. So, you take money out of these funds and keep everything kind of smoothed over. Even when I first came on, we were worried about deregulation, so there was a cost, there was a charge put on, a little charge put on to bring money in to stabilize the rates, because everybody's worried about all the big entities, what would happen if the paper mill left, what they did, but say if they left but they still stayed in town, but they bought their energy somewhere else. Well, we had to have money, we were gonna lose a lot of money because we had some hefty contracts, and we have to have contracts, some long-term contracts of electricity, because we need base load for these plants. Well, they cost money. Now, what would happen if the paper mill left and was buying energy from somebody else? Well, so we're gonna dump all they're 50% at the time, the two plants were 60% of the whole town's load. So if they both decided to buy energy from somewhere else, where was that money gonna come from? The rest of the ratepayers, the 33,000 of us? No way. So that's why these accounts are set up for these rainy day funds, everybody, but they're not. Chapter 164 wasn't set up to be the cash cow for the town. It's doing just like it's supposed to be doing. We're doing by the law, where we give good rates right now. Like I said, our rates are about 4 cents cheaper than National Grid. You can't beat the service. I know, I'm a contractor. I wanted a temporary service in Athol, National Grid. I'd wait 4 months. Most of the time, my house is done by the time they come over here. But you get called Templeton Light, and if your paperwork's done, you'll get it within a week when you get a letter. But that's the reason everybody thinks it's a big cash cow. It was never intended to be a cash cow. As far as I'm concerned, I don't think it'll ever be, because the law doesn't allow it.
Well, we have a first and second have had discussion, so I will call on a vote on the motion to request that Mr. Merkel, and if it's after the annual meeting, we will understand, I'm sure, address this issue. But Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. The next issue that we have,
Should we also make a motion though that, to start the discussions on services? So I don't know if you guys have already started looking at what it would cost you to do, payroll and vendors and stuff
I
on
was
your
until
own.
2 hours ago when I got the email from your accountant, so. I'm kinda shocked he didn't send it to you, it's pretty eye-opening. I highlighted a couple sections of right, because I actually couldn't even believe what I was reading. So, you should probably talk to him, because he obviously doesn't wanna change anything in the way this operation is run. According to him, everything right now is running nice and smooth. So, you're gonna have to talk to him and see what he wants. I only know what I can do statutorily. Not only do I have to, I want all the funds to go through the town accountant, town treasury, that's the checks and balances. To me, the objective is the treasurer and the accountant look at a pile of checks that we, in an ideal world, will process on our own. Those check amounts equal the warrant sheets of paper, so there's no fraud. So nobody's pocketing money on the side. That's really the function of, that's how the town role comes into a light enterprise, quite frankly. But he's saying that that's not the case, and he's making predetermined conclusions that what I'm doing is gonna raise cost to my ratepayers, which is ridiculous. He also said, and I quote, the amount of people working in the selectman's office has no bearing on how fast the warrants get processed. That's pretty amazing to me. I have 3 women in the office, I guess if I got rid of all 3 of them, it wouldn't matter. I mean, you gotta talk to this guy, that's all, before we engage in any kind of discussion about that.
But if, I mean, obviously, if anyone wanted to make a motion.
No, I guess we should get more information.
We'll give you a copy.
Yeah, we can.
Okay,
I'm sure we have.
I'm sending a copy right now.
okay,
Good.
thank you very much, thank you.
What do you want to do?
Our next item on the agenda was a request from Selectwoman Haley Brooks regarding the budget act actual. Thanks for coming in. Thank you. And I know that Mr. Mayo is here as well to discuss this.
What is this? I'll just speak a little bit to this before
Sure.
you speak, Alan, thank you.
Oh, this is the discussion of the budget to actual involving the cemetery department.
Yeah, well, it was more than the cemetery,
Right.
but Matt Angel came to speak last week, and some of it, and I called most of the department heads, and some of them have already met with the accountant, and some things were in the middle of being resolved, and some things weren't. I think I had called you, Luann, I had called, so I just really wanted it to be before we went to town meeting that, all things were brought to light. And that if anybody was having issues, again, I didn't know that Matt was coming, to really just kind of make stuff known. And I know that for well over a month, when I first started talking about these, that the cemetery department has definitely has some challenges. And I just wanted them to be heard.
And just as a preface, I spoke with Mr. Angel before the meeting today, and he said to not hold back, and he encourages everyone to be as open and honest about issues that they're having with, which I'm sure should go without saying anyway, but he just wanted to, don't worry about sparing his feelings, because we know that most of all of these problems predated him, so.
Right.
Okay.
Right, it has nothing to do with
Right.
Matt, it's just a matter of making sure
Right.
that everyone is heard, and
Yep.
that's all. So thank you for coming.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity. As you know, back in December, the commissioners had some concerns with their accounts. Sent a letter to the selectmen. I'm not sure if the letter was received or not received. I only got correspondence from the former the town coordinator at that time, that the selectmen were aware of the budget issues. We hadn't heard anything for quite some time. We had been conversing with the former accountant over and over on the issues. We sent a letter to the board again in March. There was a follow-up letter to the December letter, which we had it time-stamped, and everybody got a copy, I'm assuming, in their boxes. So I wanted to try to make sure that you got the information. There have been some ongoing issues since 2013 with the budgets. The most concern to me, or to the commissioners at this point, is the 2 tomb restoration projects, which were voted at town meeting, as well as my expense account from 2013 into 2014. I'll start with the first tomb restoration project. It was a tomb restoration project that was voted back in, I believe, 2011 at the town meeting. Might have been 2012. It was completed, and at the time, Scott Sawyer was the town accountant. when you're doing a grant project and you're anticipating state revenue coming back to the town, you are allowed to deficit spend. As long as you're not deficit spending over that amount that's coming back to the town, and then the amount that comes back to the town goes back into that account and it balances. Or it balances to what you're supposed to have in that account. It came to my attention through the chairman of the Community Preservation Committee a few months ago that the first round of tombs had a negative $14,000 balance on it. And I said, no, that's not right. We did originally have a negative $14,000 balance, but the town received a $36,000 electronic transfer from the state for the reimbursement of that round of grants. Apparently, I have been to see Matt Angel over the last, about 2 weeks ago on Friday, and he informed me that that $36,000 payment has been located. It was in a wrong account. He has since corrected that account and transferred the money back in there. So we are now showing the same balance as what he is showing on that account. So that one's been corrected. The second restoration project that we're working on right now, that the contractor is actually on site and doing the work, the town voted to place $80,250 in that tomb restoration account. The interpretation that the accountant is giving me right now is that the town voted to appropriate $57,000. There's some misunderstanding with the article. Not sure how we're gonna work that out. He requested me to give him a copy of the contract with the state for the tombs for this round. And also a copy of the article, as well as I also took out a blurb from the application that we had applied to the state for this grant, where it says right in the application that you have to have 3/4 of the amount of the full grant in an account for cash flow purposes. The way the article was written was that the town was to appropriate the $80,250, which is right around 3/4 of the amount of the $100,000 grant. It's a little over. And in return, the town would end up paying $57,000 out of that $80,250, and that's what the cost would be for the CPA at the end of it, once the return from the state came back. The way this accountant is reading it is that the whole grant was $80,250, and the town's portion was $57,000. But if you look at the contract, the total amount of the grant is $100,000. So the $80,250 is the 3/4 amount of the grant that we were supposed to hold according to the agreement with the state. So that's where the misunderstanding is. I dropped that paperwork off to Matt Angel last Friday. I haven't heard anything more from him as of yet. It's only Monday. He told me he would look at it, but this has been ongoing for quite some time now. It was last town meeting that we voted this article, and when I took it up with the former accountant, it didn't get straightened out. So I just want you aware of it. If you need paperwork from me on it, or you want to review it further and talk with the accountant, maybe that will need to happen.
I think you've provided more than enough documentation.
Good.
You know, you would think that the certified vote by the town clerk would,
Well, that's
you know,
what I
but-
felt, but.
right, it always has in the past, but maybe that wasn't the right way to do it, I don't know. You know, I just hope it's within a fiscal year that's still open and we can do something about it.
It is, the concern that I have right now is that this round of tunes has to be done by June 30 of this year.
Right, for the
And the
grant.
payments have to be made in order for us to get the reimbursement from the state. And the contractor is doing a great job, he's moving pretty rapidly forward, the project is right on schedule, things are going very well. I hate to have a misunderstanding over the town meeting article create a problem for the town getting their money back from the state, which is a $50,000 payment. And where we're looking for money, I'm concerned.
No, and you
I'd
you
like
put
to
yourself
try
on your line, this is your word, and the reason why we get these grants is because you do painstakingly detailed applications, and that's why you get the grants.
Correct.
And the money is CPC money, the money is there.
That's right.
The money was
It's-
voted.
It's not from taxation, it's CPC money that is voted, and the people voted it this way.
Right.
So I would like to see him put the money into that account so that we can utilize it and move forward with this project. The other two issues that I had with my accounts were the salary
Can I
account.
just interrupt you for a moment?
Sure.
I know you said that you gave some information to Matt, but did he give you, I know they're really overloaded right now, did he give you any kind of time frame? Like, he knows that you have to finish this by June 30th, so I was just wondering if
He
he
does.
said, you know, along with all the 8 million other things that he's like working on for other people too, but.
I will say that Matt's doing a pretty good job. He is overloaded with an awful lot of stuff. Wasn't his problem to start with, and he's trying to fix it. And I think the department heads are trying to work with him as well.
Right.
He didn't give me a time frame on the tomb restoration, putting the money in. I told him that we did need it by,
It
you know,
just seems
soon,
really
because we're
time
actually
sensitive.
in
It's
the
time
process of
sensitive.
working that job.
So,
He thought that the job actually was gonna go out until June of 2015. So and so when I brought him to light of that fact that it was June of 2014, I think maybe he may step up the process and try to get it done. I mean, he's been doing pretty good with it, and he has been working with us. He is pretty decent to work with. So, I mean, he is trying. I just want the board aware so that we can make sure that this is taken care of and gets done. And that I want to assure that department heads are watching their accounts and they're trying to get them straightened out. And I realize that it was a former employee that had the issues, but we're trying to move the town forward. As far as the other two accounts that I have concern with, like most department heads, my salary account was way out of whack, several of them, because there was a lot of mix-ups, and Bob has said over and over, the books were just out of whack. We have reclassified all those. We're waiting for Matt to just go through it now and do them. He's working on it, department by department, I guess. I haven't gotten an updated budget to actual in a couple of weeks, I'm assuming because they are working those figures and trying to. So I don't have that information as to whether the salaries have been reclassified to where they belong, but we are watching it and getting it done. The only other issue that I had was my expense account from 2013 to 2014, which I'm sure that several people are aware that bills from 2013 were not covered in 2013. They didn't, and the only reason we can get is that from the former town accountant was there's no money. So I just want you aware that starting 2014, I was more than $11,000 short. On a good note, because I am a department head that watches my budget very closely and did not buy into the former accountant saying to me that this was gonna be corrected, we didn't spend the money. So we're still in the green. And I expect to bite the bullet and be in the green. My concern is moving forward that we need to watch it so that it don't happen again. I don't know how it happened, but the bottom line is it shouldn't have happened. And I as a department head, get an appropriation on town meeting floor, that's what my Bible is. That's the number that I have to go through and watch all year long. And when I don't overspend that, and then I'm told at the end of the year there's no money, that's not really an answer for me. So, that's my concern with the expense account. I am concerned that that happened, and I'm concerned moving forward how are we gonna prevent it. And that's something that I know that Bob's working hard on, and I'm assuming the board is working hard on. I know the treasurer that's now in place is working hard at trying to get her end of it straight, and Matt's working as well. So I think it's coming together, but I think moving forward, we need to be a lot more vigilant about where the budgets are.
Regarding the tomb issue, other than us asking Matt to, making him aware that in order to get our reimbursement, we need this done, is there anything else from us that you need other than just asking that Matt kind of move that up his?
No, if he would understand what the article meant and deem it appropriate to move that money into that account so that we can move forward. Right now, the contractor is on site, and he has been paid an amount of money to keep the project going forward, and we're still in the green in that account, and expect to be so, you know, through the next several months, until we get the project done, so.
Do you know when the reimbursement comes back in from the state?
The reimbursement comes back in normally probably in August or even September. There's a process, once the project is done and closed out, that I have to file a report for the whole project with them, explaining what the monies were spent on, the whole 9 yards, there's a whole breakdown on it. If you remember the last few projects, you've gotten a book, that's a project completion report, they call it. Until the town gives them that, they won't release any money, other than, they'll release half a payment, but they won't release the total amount until you do that. The project has to be completed by June 30th, or they won't release any money. There's a whole list of things that are deadlines that I have to meet along the project in order to get the money back for the town, so. And as I said, that's the only issue that we're having right now. Project issues on the project itself, we've had a few minor issues with when we opened the tombs, there were several doors that were smashed and damaged so bad that we can't fix them. So the contractor has to, in-kind service, replace them. That was part of the contract, it was bid that way through the engineering firm because we anticipated that could be the case. That way, the contractor is responsible to fix those or replace them at no additional cost to the town. So the engineer worked on the project and did his homework, and things are moving along good. Right now, I have the engineer coming out on site tomorrow for a site visit. We're going to do a walkthrough and tie up some of the loose ends, and then we're ready to close the project. The contractor has already gotten most of the front facade back in where it belongs, all straight, and so it'll be a matter of replacing doors and tidying up the project, and he's gonna be almost done. So it's important that we move that money in so that when he finishes, we can pay him an amount to keep him satisfied until the state reimburses. The town has to spend their 50% of the project before I can even ask the state to give any back. So that's why we need that amount of money in there, so we can pay him at least the 50% of the project. Then I can put a request into the state and get 50% of their portion, which is $25,000. So.
Not on the tombs, but there was another budget that actual put out today, you might wanna check on that they can see if some of the corrections are taking place.
Okay.
That was just issued today.
Okay, well.
I was just checking my email, it's sideways though, so I can't see.
Yeah, I've been a little busy, between the tomb project,
Just a little?
the septic project at Gilman Waite, and now I've had funerals, I mean, going bananas. I don't know what it is, but, my department has been extremely busy right now, with just 3 of us. It's, but we're holding our own, so.
It's the only place in town people are dying to get into.
Thank you for coming in and making us aware of this issue, and hopefully we can get a resolution so that, you know, we can at least get the tomb thing settled down, and
Thank you.
the budget to actual is gonna take a while.
Yeah, I know it is, but at least we're moving in the right direction.
That we have not overspent.
That is something We've worked very hard, and actually, most of my guys have complained that we've gone without an awful lot, which we have.
Right,
So-
you have, yeah.
So,
Including the commissioners.
Did you have anything else?
Duly noted.
No, I just wanted to say thanks, and I'm sorry it took like an extra couple of weeks for you to be able to come in.
that's all right. I know you're pretty busy too, so I appreciate your time.
And I want to thank you for stopping by.
No, you guys are gonna have to start getting, night lights or something out there in the parking lot. It's 10 o'clock.
I know, and speaking of which, we're almost through the DVD, so we
Yeah.
kinda need to.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you very much for coming in.
Have a good night.
Thanks, you too.
Our meetings actually haven't been lasting this long.
Usually it's happened now. But the next item that we have
It's
on
been like
the,
8:30 or so, right? Sorry.
that's okay. The next item we have on the agenda was from the MOC, Montechusett Opportunity Commission. Sonia was gonna come and speak, but she.
Yeah, she had a death in the family, so she couldn't come, but she does want to come back, and she just had sent me an email. They're called the Coordinated Family and Community Engagement through MOC, and she's in Baldwinville. And some things that, they are a nonprofit community resource center that services children and families in the towns of Templeton and Phillipston. Their main focus is community engagement, family support, and providing opportunities for parents to learn how they are their child's first and most important teacher. They have free play groups, they provide parent-child home program, there's brochures, they are hosting some community events, they're having a puppet show, they're gonna do a live animal show in June, I think at the Otter River Sportsman's Club. They're gonna have a scholastic book fair, parent workshops, they have all kinds of things that they're doing. She encourages people to stop by. She's there Monday through Friday, 9 to 3. And again, I think she does want to come. She was all prepared, but then could not. So I just wanted to make sure that we see her, because it sounds like a really nice program for us to have here in town.
Thank you. Next, we have discussed board and committee appointment policy, which Diane requested.
Oh yes, and Diane came unprepared because we have like all kinds of other chaotic events, so I'm gonna ask to table this.
Sure, no problem. The next item that we have is to discuss the animal control agreement with the towns of Hubbardston, Templeton, and the city of Gardner.
I spoke with the mayor of Gardner and told him that the board had voted to pay the amount from the prior year. And I assume we are underway with payment.
Without the increase, correct?
Without the
Right,
increase,
the prior
yes.
amount, yeah.
That did not sit well.
I can imagine.
And I pointed out that the town truck is being used without charge. And the mayor pointed out that they have a truck also on the street that is providing service as well. And we ended up, it was a cordial discussion, but it was a stalemate.
Okay.
So I know the police chief has a recommendation. In fact, I thought he was coming tonight, but I think what we should do is put this on the agenda for our next meeting, because he has some interesting development to discuss with us.
Okay.
So that'll be for May 12th?
Yes.
Yep. The next item that we have on the agenda is to discuss the trust, which I have to recuse myself from because it involves one of my clients, so I'll be back.
Okay. So we have a letter from the attorney for TD Bank, who is the trustee of the Stanley J. Nataska Trust. This is a trust that's established to assist the library at the Narragansett Regional School. And the attorney is asking that, just due to the cost of administering a trust, that they're requesting to terminate the trust and transfer the funds to the Community Foundation of North Central Massachusetts to administer the account for the same purposes. So the only difference is, rather than being a trust, it just becomes an account that's administered by this community foundation versus an attorney. So it's looks like a fairly straightforward request. The regional school district has already agreed to the change.
So they're gonna be able to take that money, use it for anything they want?
No.
No, it still has the stipulation that it can only be used for the library at the school. So it's, right, because it says the account for the same purposes as the current trust. So it can only be used for the same thing that the trust currently provides for. It's just, it's administered by the community foundation versus an attorney.
Who is the community foundation?
It's Community Foundation of North Central Massachusetts.
Who are they?
No idea.
We should have somebody.
Holly may know.
I don't know exactly who they are, I can't remember, but back in October, we had this trust and another trust at a meeting. The first trust had to do with the town. Board voted to sign it and that went through. The second one had to do with the school. So it was referred to them, they had it there, they voted on it and signed it. This is just, the attorney can submit it like it is. But he's just thinking with the board's backing, it will go through.
Probate, right? It's in
Yeah, the
probate,
judge might
yeah.
just have questions. So it's just a formality. It's gonna go through anyway.
Well, let me ask you another question. Mr. Robinson, who's he representing?
He doesn't have to say
I
that.
don't know.
He said one of his clients.
It's, I don't,
He said one of his clients.
Right, he works
It's
for one of those people.
these people,
involved in
not
it.
the school, one of these people.
It could be anyone.
It could be anyone.
Right.
Anyone in that contract,
He's gotta be very careful as an attorney that he doesn't
Oh,
break
no, I'm
any
just
of
questioning,
those.
who,
I,
for all these years, Stanley, I don't know how much left in that fund, they left a set amount of money. And what is in it now? Does anybody know how much is in
no,
that fund?
the amount of money actually, it wasn't listed, I looked for that myself, I was kinda curious to see what was left.
Is it still,
I don't know,
Yeah, it doesn't say.
it does not say. But the purpose of the fund will remain the same, it's just somebody else looking after it. That's what the documents that I have say, that I've read them.
Yeah, from my understanding, it's a company that does this, they administer trusts,
They
that's
administer
all they
trusts.
do. It's a community service type of thing.
And it's gonna save money, isn't that the purpose of?
Right.
Right. It would probably reduce, because I'm sure this attorney that administers the trust takes some
Charges
fee
some.
every year.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
you can do it for nothing.
Right, so eventually you end up paying more in fees than what the,
Because
in
the
the
schools
account.
approved it.
All right, so I will make a motion that we approve and sign the Nishaka Trust transfer agreement.
Second,
All right, we have a motion and a second to transfer the Natasha trust. Any discussion? Okay, Julie,
Yes.
Diane,
yes.
and yes.
Can you tell Ken
Does this have to be notarized?
Thank you.
I don't know.
Diane.
It's
He
okay,
was
I'm
wrong.
watching
Oh,
you sign.
I didn't see
All right. I don't want to pull any fast business here.
So today is
You guys can discuss.
Okay, the next topic that we have on the, I didn't touch it. The next topic that we have is to discuss the East Templeton Elementary School presentation, which is on here. Doug will be explaining that to us.
Okay. It's not really a presentation so much as, I think we should have an information packet at the very least, you know, on the table at the town meeting. I don't know what everybody else thinks. I had put together, you know, just a paragraph kind of form of the information as to, you know, what CPC is, you know, how it can be appropriated, what we're wanting to do with the CPC funds in relationship to East Templeton. Also talked about the renting of this facility and how much more it was going to cost us, and the board's consensus that moving the town offices to East Templeton is what's in the best interest of the town. So the one I had put together and I emailed to everybody, I don't know if Holly put a copy in here or not. Yeah, here it is. you know, is just an all verbiage kind of paragraph. I had a friend over the weekend, took the thing that I had put together and made it in more of a more readable.
Oh, nice.
Toss one down for Diane too. So I just want to see, you know, does the board support putting a document like this? It doesn't have to be these exact words. If we have better suggestions, should we do something like this versus something like this? Do we think it would be, you know, appropriate to perhaps break this down into some PowerPoint slides that we could ask Channel 8 to put on? You know, so I just kind of want to get the board's feel for, you know, do we think presenting this kind of information is a good idea, and should it be board sponsored or just put it out as a citizen? I can do that as well.
Well, thank you for compiling this information, because it's helpful to us too. When people ask us questions, to have all the information handy. I definitely enjoy this format.
Yeah.
As opposed, this is gonna be at town meeting, right?
Right. and
I
possibly
would like to see it on a presentation, because I think that, I mean, some people might not take the paperwork, some people, you know, just, you know, get up and leave, or I would like to see it on a slide show. I mean, you do great work.
Well, I didn't do this.
Okay, well, that's lovely.
Trust me, mine looks like this.
Just something. It doesn't even, you know, I mean, you can just break this up and put them on slides, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think having the piece of paper, my opinion, having the piece of paper at town meeting for people to pick up and read at their leisure is fine.
Right, but to actually have it on the.
Yeah, and we could just maybe do some quick bullet points if we wanted to do a formal presentation when the
Right.
CPC comes up.
Yeah, and I think that people really do, based on all the feedback we got from Bob's presentation.
Oh, yeah.
People, even if they didn't agree with it, they, you know,
We're on
they had a good.
we're on this, we got the water turned on the building yet?
No, not yet, we'll be doing that soon.
What are we waiting for? This has been a month now.
Well,
And then you're saying you're picking on the water superintendent. Why hasn't he done it for you?
I think we're not quite at that stage yet. I think some of it's a lot of it we're gonna move forward on, at least for me personally, as putting together, you know, having input with the agenda, is after Monday. Because Monday we will really know what, right. I mean, we obviously are gonna have to move, but on Monday we will know with more surety whether we're going to be kind of not able to do the things that we wanna do there anyway, because the state's gonna be telling us what to do. So on Monday, so starting after Monday, so I'm sure that, and I will promise you that it will be on the agenda for our May 12th meeting, is the progress that is going on in that building in regards to moving. But yeah, after next Monday, actually, not about this time next week, we'll definitely know kind of what's going on with that. So
You want to get going quick because the highway's going to have a lot of work.
I know, yeah.
They volunteer to move stuff.
As far as the information, I think it should be available at town meeting or even beforehand.
Oh, beforehand too, yeah,
Yeah.
that would be lovely.
I think if we put the article on it, then we're like saying that's like
Oh,
voting
right, yeah.
for it. So I'm not sure if cable would put it on Channel 8.
2 weeks.
2 weeks
Yeah.
notice, okay, so we're coming up close to that. So, I don't know, if someone could break it down into PowerPoint slides? Okay, because that's a lot of text for a PowerPoint.
Sure.
Yes.
It's after 10.
I know, nothing good happens after 10. But I will make a motion that we endorse it, because I think they wanted us to endorse whatever we did. Not put the article on it and to make it available, and if, you know, we need to chip in money to get a copy down, so be it, I'll throw some money in.
Would you be open to a presentation at town meeting,
That's why she didn't want to bring it up again tonight.
as Doug had suggested, like having a little PowerPoint?
It's Article 21.
Maybe, it might not even be necessary if we're gonna have this ahead of time. And
Right.
maybe if people seem like they're confused, then, I mean, if we were just.
Have it ready.
Yeah, that's my word.
And I'd be more than happy at town.
So
meeting
then
to
maybe it
talk.
won't even
Gotcha,
be needed and
perfect.
everybody will be like, yeah, let's do this, you know?
Okay,
'Cause
perfect.
it's not been a yeah before.
Perfect.
Right.
So we have a first, do I have a
Yes,
second?
Holly? Yes, Holly?
Oh.
Sorry.
Kate actually brought this up to me because she said last year at the meeting, people had no idea that this wasn't gonna come out of their tax money. So she was the one that suggested to me that
Does it say
it
that
go
in
into
here?
our-
I read
He
this, but
explains it, yeah.
it explains that it doesn't
think
come out of
so.
your taxes?
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, it comes from CPC, and a lot of people didn't understand that, that's why it got voted down.
Oh.
So I'm just afraid they're not gonna let us live in
Oh, they're
that.
collected, yeah. Yeah.
I didn't read that.
Yeah, so it's the whole.
Okay, so it does
I know
say
what I
that.
wanted to say. In discussions with
Oh, yes,
the
they just
the
said.
advisory board chair this past week, there may be an effort to incorporate the funds into the operating budget as opposed to taking them out of stabilization,
Oh,
which we can do through the motion.
Gotcha. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So do I have a second for Julie's
Oh, sorry, second.
second? Okay, is there any other discussion? Okay, if not, Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Diane?
Yeah.
And I'll vote yes. Okay, the next issue that we have is almost last issue, the Himza Haven lease, which is for the animal shelter out on, across from the school.
Yeah, I didn't get any information on
Is there?
that. Is it in here?
No, I think, do you have any information on it?
No.
All right, we'll do that on the 12th.
I visited several weeks ago, very well-run operation. They said they were gonna send in a renewal, but I haven't seen it.
Okay.
Yeah, she called the other day, you
So
know.
we need to add this to
You
the
can never
next
get
one.
yeah.
between, you know, when he's here and when he's not. It's crazy. I can't talk, it's after 10. But anyway, she was concerned that, she heard something about the animal control agreement. She was concerned that we were gonna take over the shelter with animal control.
No, that did kind of come up from a question from somebody in the audience, so.
Yeah, I think it got
Yeah.
passed around,
Yeah.
so.
But not from us. So if we put that on the agenda for the 12th
Okay.
as well.
Okay. And I think that lease is good until the 30th, June 30th?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we'll just have selectmen's comments. Julie, do you have anything that you would like to comment on?
Well, I would. I went down to Boston to a
Oh.
hearing, and it wasn't an overwhelming reception, but we did get heard by the Joint Committee on the Judiciary. And I think it's important because I've got file folders of information on Chapter 93, Acts of 2000. And as we've learned from the discussion tonight, it doesn't work. And I think having the Attorney General look at the special legislation and look at all the determinations that have come out. I've got stuff from the Inspector General, we've got the letter from Gerard Perry, we've got letters from everybody, and then we've got, information from our own attorney, our own town council about how things should work, and it just doesn't work. And I think getting the determination on that one particular issue is really, really important for the town to help us get our act together and move forward. And I'd also like to urge everyone to vote on May 5th.
No, I don't really have anything particular of interest.
Okay. Diane?
I do.
Yes.
Not much. I read in the paper or something that the gardener went with MedStar, and I would like to know where we are and how does that affect us, if we could add that to the next agenda.
Sure.
And ask, unless, Bob, did you have something to add, like you looked
No,
at
I'm
me?
just looking down to listen to,
Oh, well, I guess, does that mean that we're staying with Woods? Does that mean that it's a question for me, do we automatically go, I think it's for June 1st. Anyway, I would like to know where we are with that and what the game plan is going forward, so if we could add that to the agenda for the next meeting, I would like that, thank you.
Okay, and the only comments that I have are that we have on Wednesday, if you didn't have enough fun tonight, you can come to the joint meeting of the advisory board and the Board of Selectmen in the Kiva at 6:30, right? Well, at 6:30. Basically what it's called, because we are so up in the air, it would be beneficial for us. We're gonna have that meeting. The advisory board's gonna be able to kind of explain their budget proposals to us. We'll be able to ask our questions. I mean, it's obviously open to the public, so you can hear as well. They have about, 10, 13 contingency?
I have 10 basically iterations of the budget because of all kinds of scenarios that we're going through. It's just,
Right.
we had some recommendations and then we had some changes that have happened here recently with debt, et cetera, and we need to end up deciding that evening as to which iteration we were gonna use.
Right, and which budget's going to kind of be.
Is there any information that we can have ahead of time?
Right now, I'm still working at it, believe it or not.
So
I mean, this is, every time you make a decision on doing something, it has an impact on that budget. Last week, you came up with 3 or 4, and I had to go through,
Oh, that was based on
as an
the
example,
attorney.
retirement. That's 10 times I have to go into 10 individual budgets to make those changes. Same thing with scholarships. I mean, it's just,
Can I just state though, for me, I'm brand new and I haven't one clue, and to be able to look at something before, I'm not even gonna know what questions to ask if I don't have some time to process something, anything. That doesn't mean I would make anything public. I just need to see what exactly it is we'll be talking about, what it looks like. I'm blind.
which one would you like? Which iteration
Well,
would you
Will,
like?
you're gonna know what I should be looking at. I mean,
I have 10 iterations. Which one would you
are
like?
you presenting all 10 of them?
Depends on what's agreed upon that night.
Okay, something, just pick something.
I have
for me to
questions of
look
the
at.
select board, which we'll have to take and discuss that night.
Okay, so just pick something. I guess I mean, you're gonna know more than me.
And the other item that I had is, so that's Wednesday at 6:30 in the Kiva. And then Thursday
Meeting Thursday.
at 5:30
Right.
here, we'll be doing conducting our final interview. And as always happens, some other agenda items I'm sure have filtered onto Thursday. But you can leave after the interview, it's fine. And that's all. Thank you everyone for coming out. Oh, sorry.
I just have one more thing. On Tuesday, the 6th, we're having the classification hearing. And I'm gonna be in Washington DC, and I was hoping we could do remote participation. My flight's at 6:30, so if we could start at 5:30. I always get delayed every time. So if I'm at the airport, I can probably phone it in, if that's possible.
Which Tuesday? I'm
That's
sorry,
already
I'm
in the paper,
confused.
already been in the paper.
It's
Oh, so it's at 6?
Yeah, it's legal.
We can't change
Okay,
it, the
all right.
time.
All right, so what time is it at?
6:30.
Is it
It's at
6:30?
6:30.
Yeah, so many things going on.
All right, I'll see if I can use my phone on US Airs. I don't know.
Maybe you'll be
Land
delayed.
in the
I will be.
So thank you for everyone for coming out. It's kind of like when you start law school, they say like, look at your right, look at your left, like only one of you will be here, but that's kind of like how the meetings are. So you were the third that survived.
Right.
So thank you very much for coming out, and I'll see you Wednesday and Thursday. And
I need a
Tuesday.
motion to adjourn?
Oh yeah, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I just did.
Oh, is there a second? Julie?
Yes.
Doug? Diane?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Diane and Doug.
Yeah, Diane first.
First Diane, then Doug.
Is this your pin?
Yeah. It was confiscated.
Can you just